All right. We are building an audience for you now. Okay, so welcome to tonight's feed. Okay, I want to explain to you real quick just a couple things on why I'm doing this, okay? The reason why I'm broadcasting tonight about asteroids is because there's a lot of hype about September 23rd, and I want to bring to your attention the information that I found out and how you, too, can do the same exact thing that I just did and have a much better understanding about what's really happening out there. Okay, so tonight what we're going to talk about is asteroids. You know, you've got hurricanes, you've got earthquakes, you've got tsunamis, I said with a T, tsunamis. But seriously, with September 23rd, they talk about the blackening of the sun. They're talking about Planet X, Naboo, all this rumor stuff. And what I'm not trying to debunk the rumors, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you exactly about the asteroid threat, how it could block out the sun, or what's happening with this, and what to look for. So, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to explain to you how to have a little bit better idea of how to comprehend the size of our galaxy and what that means. All right. So to give you an idea of how large our galaxy is, because when I'm talking about asteroids, I'm talking about what's happening towards us, I want you to look at it like this. If you were to count one star up in the sky every second for 24 hours, you would finally count every star in our galaxy 2,500 years later. That's how many stars are in here. To give you, in our galaxy, to give you an idea of how big our solar system is, all right, if you were to, let's say the North American continent was the size of the Milky Way galaxy. Granted, the Milky Way is about 100,000 light years across. The light year thing's kind of hard to understand. I know I have a hard time with it, so I'm going to bring it on back to scale it down for you. So, if the North American continent were the size of the Milky Way galaxy, then the solar system would be the size of a quarter. Earth would be the size of a piece of dust on the quarter in the ground in the middle of the Grand Canyon. That's to give you an idea of how big space really is. Now, when it comes to asteroids, the way they measure space, on Earth when we drive around, they measure miles. How many miles is to there, how many miles per hour, whatever. So in space, because it's so large, as you can just tell, they use something called astronomical units. An astronomical unit, an AU, to measurement, like a yardstick, is basically the distance from the sun to the Earth. However, here's where it gets tricky, and here's the part that's very crucial to you understanding if you want to learn this information. An astronomical unit, when I say is from the sun to the Earth, I'm not talking about where we're standing right here. Yes, the Earth. However, they measure it the center of the Earth to the sun. That makes a big difference when asteroids come near us. Now, there's over 600,000 asteroids in our solar system. We are struck by meteors almost all the time. Asteroids are a very, very common thing. However, because of the severity of it, they created what's called NEO. Now, that stands for Near Earth Object. So when you have an asteroid that's close to us, what we need to do is not rely on the media. Do you really think the United States government or anyone's going to tell you that an asteroid's about ready to hit us and to be prepared? No, they're not. So it's up to you to have a better understanding of what's really going on out there so you can understand it. So what I did is I did a printout. I'm getting ready to show it to you. It's of all the asteroids that are NEO, Near Earth Objects. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you and explain to you how to read it. Very, very simple. This is very, very easy, actually. I mean, it took me a while to figure it out, but once I figured it out, it's easier for me to explain it to you. An AO, astronomical unit. Okay, so here's what you need to know. First off, and if you want to grab a pen and paper, do it. This is some great information. You're going to learn a lot on this. It's going to fascinate you. I did find 2 dates that are not scary, but I just want to bring to your attention. You be the judge. I'm only sharing the facts, as always. Okay, so here's what you need to know. An LD is lunar distance. Lunar distance is about 238,000 miles. So in other words, the moon from the center's Earth is 238,000 miles. That's what they use for measurement. So you have the LD, lunar distance, then you have an AU, astronomical unit, again, which is from the center of the Earth to the sun. Now, to give you an idea of how long that is, that the distance to the sun, and I do have side notes, by the way, side notes, it's about 92,096 million miles. So that's like 1 yard, AU, astronomical unit. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you the dates. Now, on September 23rd, there's a lot of hype about it. They're talking about the end of the Earth. Things are going to explode. They talk about Planet X, Naboo. You know, is it true? Who knows? All we know, you know what we know? We know what others tell us. We know what we see on the internet. We know what we learn in school. We know what we know from others. So how much do we really know? What is the truth? You know, that's up to you to decide. You know, same with me and my knowledge, just like you. But I'm sharing with you what I found. I'm trying to find you factual evidence on what's happening. So what we talked about last time on September 23rd, we talked about the sun being blacked out over Israel for 3 hours. And I was like, well, wait a minute. There's no lunar eclipse on that day. There's no solar eclipse on that day. They're talking about this Planet X, which could be just a hoax. I mean, but then again, would we know? The weird thing about that is the Planet X thing called the Red Dragon. We talked about the constellation Virgo. You can YouTube this. That's kind of how I saw it. And I was like, I wonder why they did that. And here's the deal. If you look in between the legs, like her feet, Virgo's feet, that's where the red dragon's supposed to come and devour the baby, so the Bible says. It's interesting because Google Sky Maps actually blocked out that section. You cannot see it. And I'm thinking to myself, why would they do that? So that was interesting. So September 23rd, again, is not the end of the world. It's not doomsday. However, something's going to block out the sun. So is it Planet X? Is it asteroids? I don't know. I wanted to find out the truth. I don't believe what people say, so I did research. And here's what I found. I want to share it with you. So grab a pen and paper. Again, an AU is the distance between the center of the Earth and the sun. So when asteroids come near us, that's how they rate them. Now here, I'm going to show you some freaky stuff. Here we go. If I can figure out how to use my phone. Here we go. Alright, now watch. Let me get in here. Okay, so those are the object names and those are the dates, right? Now if I go up a little bit further, like right here, these are the AUs, the distance between the sun and the Earth. So what you want to look for is a point 0000, something that's a point way over this way means it's very close to us. So what I did is I looked at September. Let me grab a pen. Hold on. Okay. So what I did is I went to right there, September 23rd. Now we've got 2 asteroids which are NEO, that means near Earth objects. One of them is 0.0458 AU. That's pretty far. That's I mean, you get out of the calculator, you can do what you want. It's, in other words, right here, the LD, that's 17 times the distance that we have between Earth and the moon. So 17 times the distance, that far away. It would have to be really big in order for it to block out the sun. So what we do now is we look over here, the estimated diameter. Now this is in meters. Now we were growing up with yards and inches and miles and feet. So meters is basically 3 times what we're used to in our measuring system here in America. Now this is interesting because it's 280 meters. Do that times 3, that gives you an idea of how large it is. However, it is still pretty far away. It's not going to hit us. It's not a threat. It's pretty close. That's why it's in the NEO. And then that's the astronomical unit. So that could be pretty big depending on the tilt. Now, understand something. I'm teaching you the basics. You still have velocity, you have mass size, you have composition, you have angles, trajectory, you have velocity, you have all these different crazy stuff. I'm just teaching you the basic. All you need to know is what day it is, how far or how close it is, and then how large it is. That's really all you need to know, okay? So what we're doing now is we're looking on September 23rd. Now this one here, 0.0011. You can go onto Google. You can do a calculator that basically says astronomical units converted to miles, okay? And that's how you can find out, how close that really is. That is pretty close. It's about half the distance between the Earth and the Moon. Now remember, the Moon is about 238,000 miles away. So what this is telling us, it's going to be a little bit more than half of that, which is about 100,000 miles away. So that's okay. All right? But here's the one, and in fact, I'm just not going to say anything for a minute. I'm just going to bring my pen down. What we want to look for is we want to look for a 0.00. As many zeros this way with a number will be extremely close. So let's see if we can find that together. We've got the date here. We've got the distance here. Let's go for it. Here we go. Let me know if you see it. What? Oh. Wow, what's that? That looks pretty close. 0.0003. That's extremely close. Lunar distance, again, that's the distance between the Earth and the Moon, 10%, 0.1. That's extremely close. So here's something that you have to understand. I'm going to share this. I'm going to share my side notes. I don't care, because this is all about knowledge. All right, look at this. Okay, it says the Earth to the Sun is 92 million miles. That's one astronomical unit. However, remember I told you this one unit is based on the center of the Earth. So how far down is the center of the Earth? Let's read it. The distance to the center of the Earth is 6,371 miles. Wow. So what that means, if you have, let's go back here to October 12th, 0.0003. Now listen, they're doing you a favor on this one. It's BS. I've got an app. I got it all the way down on a certain day at a certain time, down to the 5-minute mark, where it's actually 0.0001, which brings it down to about, right, I'm just going to give you an estimate here. You can do your own math. Right around 9,000 miles. So you think 9,000 miles is close, don't you? That's pretty close. Well, check this out. Hate to bust your bubble, guys, but 9,000 miles ain't true. You got to compensate for the fact of the distance between what we're standing on and the center of the Earth. That's over 3,600 miles, 3,600 miles down. So what you got to do now is you have to take that 9,000, that's extremely close, mark, take away, the center of the Earth to us, to the ground, where the thing hits. So that will bring this asteroid on October the 12th all the way to about 4,500 miles. So how close is 4,500 miles? Let me give you an idea. That would be traveling from Florida to Hawaii. That would be traveling from Florida to France. I don't know how many of you guys have actually done those flights, but when we talked about in the beginning of this broadcast how big space is, the vast majority of how huge it is, when you have an asteroid, let's look at one more thing. Hold on. I got to show you the size of this thing. All right. So let's focus in. So the one we're looking at is 0.0003, which ends up being about 4,500 miles to Earth. Okay, you're not going to get too much publicity and news about this thing. That's the name of the asteroid. Now watch. This right here is the mass, 19 meters. So what you do is you take 19 times 3 because, again, we use feet and yards. So that's about equivalent to the size of a house, if not huger. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, let me tell you what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, the Earth's atmosphere protects us because everything that hits in the Earth's atmosphere burns up. And let me tell you something, you're absolutely correct. However, what you have to look for is the composition of what that material is made out of. Now, if it's iron, it's going to have a huge impact. It won't burn all the way up. It will make ground. Don't forget what happened in Russia. When the Russia meteor hit, there was no warning, and it was smaller than this, than what we're looking at here, and it it affected over 57-mile radius. So all I'm trying to share with you is a few things here. Number one, when it comes to all these earthquakes and volcanoes, that happens every single year, every single month. It's very common. It's nothing to be scared about. What I'm trying to share with you is because of the fact and the significance of the Bible prophecy being fulfilled. It's only Revelation 12 verse 1, by the way, which is just basically saying look up to the sky and these stars are going to form in this formation. When that happens and you have all these natural disasters happening very, very closely together, the earthquakes, the tidal waves, I'm trying to share with you guys something's happening here. And the reason why I'm doing this is not by any means to scare you. I have family, I have children, I have loved ones just like you. You know, that's not the point here. The point is this. When you take everything into consideration, is it going to take a fact that something actually has to split America apart with a natural disaster or a volcano or an earthquake? Is that what's going to take to wake up to say, hey, you know what? Maybe the Bible was right. So moving forward from this day, what you're going to start seeing on my Facebook page, and profile picture, whatever, you're going to see a picture of a horse. And the reason why I choose a horse is because of this. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So I am not trying to force any kind of religion on you, any kind of belief. However, I want to bring to your attention the science behind what's happening here, the severity of the closeness of all this happening. If you open your eyes and look, in other words, drink the water horse, then you will have a better understanding and concept of really what's happening. And then in conclusion, this is what I want to say. With all of the events happening, maybe, just maybe the Bible was right. And if that's the case, maybe I should choose to maybe listen a little bit more. So my advice to you is this. Simply be prepared. Love the Lord your God with all your heart. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about, ask others. Don't be misled. There's going to be many, many lies out there. Pray. Ask for help. Ask for guidance. And, you know, I'm sure, you know, we're all going to be fine, whether it's here or in the next place. So don't stress out. Don't be scared. Don't freak out, because I got to tell you, if an asteroid hits us, what are you going to do? Seriously, where are you going to go? All right? So just be prepared. You know, have food on hand, water, you know, love your loved ones. Just pay attention to the news. All right, guys. That's it. I really appreciate your time today. Oh, hold on a second. Alright, so I'm going to get going. I just wanted to say that I appreciate y'all's support. If you like anything at all that I'm sharing, because I truly only want to bring facts to you, not speculation, please share the video. Please tell, or share this knowledge with others, and then do your own little studies. What did you find out? You know what I mean? Share it with me. Let me know. Let's all work together on this, and let's come together united. United as one, and appreciate you guys. All right, thank you. That'll be all.